your new home for podcasts and original music.
The Zagnif One Radio Network.
Nick Saban does not play anybody less than his. He doesn't put anybody less on the field than his very best players.
What Bama does, what Bama do.
Sorry,
I heard a noise. My bad. Somebody just left it on it. Left it on my step.
that Colorado defense is definitely underrated, but they ended up pulling it out late. They have one of the players to watch for, Isaiah Spiller.
Oh, it's better. It's better now. Trust me. Like back in the day, there was at least one murder. So I mean, it's better now.
You realize that you're not doing anything to press your case by getting me to go down there. No, man, come on down there. It was only one murder. Yeah, they're only averaging one murder a year.
And shout out to Florida. They're playing them this Saturday. Number 11 ranked Florida playing number 1 Alabama. So I think that's going to be a high scoring game. And
wow. Well played, Collin. Well played. I did not see that one coming. you get a double finger point, one for me and one for Sean. You know you get.
Here we go. Get your popcorn ready.
So what's the big thing?
Hey, gang. How is everybody doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? Hey, you back in the back. Yeah, back. Put the mustard bottle down. Game's over. You should have left. You should have left like 2 days ago. How are you doing? Well, we know how you're doing. We're gonna leave you alone. Hope everybody is doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. And this is this week's edition of This Week in SEC Football. I am 1/3 of the terrific trio here. I am Mr. Fingaz, that guy right there. My brother from another, Collin P. Sean not with us tonight. Sean just got done doing an absolute killer show today on Let's Talk Football with his co-host Janae Strother. We about wore Sean out. I was a guest on that show. For those of you wondering why it is that I'm wearing this thing here, I decided to pop up in the comment section last Monday. Got a little beside myself, said that the Falcons would potentially beat the Cowboys. The Falcons had won a couple of games that they had no business winning, and I thought maybe they'd get one more. And the Cowboys were just coming off that horrific loss at home to Denver. I didn't know. Like Kevin Hart said, I didn't know. Yeah, we didn't even score a touchdown. We got touched out of the end zone the entire game. I was on my way to go sit down. I was filming. I did a live right before the game started. I was on my way to go sit down, and I heard my wife going, "Yes, yes." And I was like, "What happened?" She said, "They scored, baby." I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" Like they scored before I could even sit down to enjoy the game. And then I was working on. I did a halftime video, and I was working on editing it and stuff like that. And while I was editing the video, the one you guys saw with my wife teasing me about the pillow and all of that stuff, Matt Ryan threw an interception while I was finalizing the editing on that. The editing on that video. And so it was just a rough day for the Falcons. And the deal was if the Falcons lost, then I would come on this show and I would wear this lovely jersey for all of you to see. And I have to play a little bit of my wife loves Christmas, and she wants to listen to Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You. Right now, I am a Christmas doesn't start until after Thanksgiving guy. I'm old school. I'm real old school with that. And so I promise her I play a little. So I'll play just enough to not get us kicked off of Facebook a little bit later on, because they'll kick us off. They'll pull the video and everything like that. So that is why I'm wearing this today. But you see, I got the G in the background repping. I got the tomahawk. I got the junk. I got names for my hats. This is Junkyard Dog, and that's the tomahawk chop. There we go.
Right, there you go.
So anyway, Collin, how you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. It's pretty good weekend of college football. Unfortunately, like you said about the the Falcons. I mean, what kind of expectations you got. You know what I'm saying? It's just hopefully finish out the season, pretty strong. But
We know that's not gonna happen. Come on,
I know. Yeah, but I
Come
told
on,
you,
man.
I'm telling you, as long as I get that bifecta and not that trifecta, I'm okay with not having a trifecta. We get that bifecta, we get the Braves winning that series, and getting maybe the Dogs getting to the Natty and doing something. I'll be a happy man.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at you saying, "Come on, man!" Like Chris Tucker talking to Michael Jackson. Mike, I bet you never land. You can't get that girl.
I hope you don't get it. I hope you don't get it.
Yeah, yeah, man, crazy. It was a crazy week last week. The craziness has not stopped. I'm just gonna say it.
No.
The craziness has not stopped. We still had some big losses across the top 25. We had some big wins. We had some upsets. We had some upsets outside of the top 25, inside the top 25. Namely, y'all know I did a bit several weeks ago about Coastal Carolina being the best team in South Carolina, and they still are by record. But they did drop another one this past weekend, so they're now 8-2. They still have they're still leading their conference, so they'll have an opportunity to win. Bad break for my beloved Savannah State Tigers. They finished the season 8-2, second in the SIAC East. They had an opportunity to get into the D2 playoffs, but little rigmarole, little trickeration. There was a team that Savannah State had a head-to-head win over that wound up making it into the playoffs over them. So the Tigers sit out this year's D2 playoffs, but nice hearty round of applause for the Tigers of Savannah State. That is their second straight winning season. I don't believe they've had back-to-back winning seasons since a certain Hall of Fame tight end that's now on Fox, Undisputed, was a wide receiver for them some 30-plus years ago. Been that long. So kudos to Coach Quinn and what he's got going on down there. Yeah, his last name is Quinn too. So anyway, let's go on ahead and get into it, man. Let's go on ahead and get into it. We had a lot of action, a lot of SEC action this week. Look, man, my notes are all out of order. No, they're not. They're in order. There was just a whole bunch of crazy going on this week. You know where I'm going to start? We're going to talk week 11 action. We're going to go ahead and get this one out of the way. The 17-win game streak is over. OU goes down to Waco and just totally falls flat against Baylor in front of a home crowd. Man, I tell you what, it was something to see, to watch. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, but I've been saying all season that you can't, the week before you came on board, I said, if some team figures out a way to smack Oklahoma in the mouth and keep smacking them in the mouth, that will be the team to be able to beat them. And what were the three teams I said had the possibility of making that happen? Oklahoma State, Baylor, Iowa State. Now, I also threw TCU in there as well. Yeah. But Baylor was the one to do it. Once again, Baylor jumps up and gives Oklahoma that loss. I mean, seriously, the yardage by itself said it all, man. 260 yards for OU, 413 for Baylor. Baylor almost doubled them up. The time of possession wasn't that big a factor. It was Baylor had the ball for 35 minutes and 19 seconds time of possession. But seriously, the difference maker was both quarterbacks had fairly even stats.
Right.
Caleb was 9 of 18 for 142 yards, no TDs and 2 interceptions, and no rushing touchdowns. That's another thing. Bohannon from Baylor, 12 of 21 for 117. He threw a pick himself, but he had 1 passing touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns. Just not only is the 17-game win streak over, OU has not lost a game in November in 7 years. This is the first time in 7 years that the Sooners have lost a game in November. And with them being at number 8 in the CFP rankings right now, it is going to have to be absolute chaos for them to get back to the point where they can potentially get in the playoffs.
To playoff conversation, yeah, I agree totally.
What can you say, man? I mean, they were on the fringe. They weren't ranked in the top 4. A lot of fans said OU's being disrespected. We're undefeated. We should be ranked in the top 4.
Yeah.
Not knocking the Sooners. The Sooners have a great listen, make no mistake about it. Lincoln Riley is doing some really good things in Oklahoma. But this year there was some questions, and I don't always agree with the committee where this particular team is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
This justified it.
Yeah.
Now, what's going to have to happen in order for them to get back up there? Because remember, the rankings don't even come out for another 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So what is going to have to happen is Oklahoma is going to have to kick. God, I don't even know who they have next. I think they have Iowa State next.
That's yeah, I think that's correct. Honey, one second. Let's see. They got
They've got
Iowa State, then Oklahoma State.
And Oklahoma State for Bedlam at the end of the season. Right now, the one team that I thought out of anybody that definitely had the opportunity to knock the Sooners in the mouth is Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State this year is real.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it. They're real this year. They're doing their job. Spencer Sanders has really stepped up. He's making things happen down there. I know this is supposed to be this week in SEC football, so bear with me, those of y'all. Oklahoma's coming to the SEC, so we've included them in this conversation because we want to give you a history of what Oklahoma is bringing to the table by the time they get to the SEC. I thought Oklahoma State was going to be the only team that really had a shot at really giving them a loss.
Yeah.
I knew Baylor had the potential. I know Iowa State has the potential, but I didn't think Baylor was going to do it like this. I thought it was going to be another close one. I think I called Oklahoma eking it out, but Baylor did it. Final score for that game turned out to be 27-17. 27-17.
Yeah, and their last 17 points was in the fourth quarter. So I mean, they pulled away in the fourth quarter. So
right.
And we did have that conversation last week, all three of us, and we kind of all had the same sentiment that Baylor. They look good. I mean, they could be the potential one loss, hander of the one loss to Oklahoma, and that's exactly what happened.
And if there's ever a time, if you've been following, since the BCS era, the one time you do not want to get a loss is when you have 2 games left on your schedule. Now, let's be fair. Those 2 games, we said this 3 weeks ago. This is the gauntlet. Baylor. They, unfortunately, they didn't pull it out against Baylor. They've got Iowa State next week. They've got Oklahoma State the week after. They are looking at the potential of playing Oklahoma State 2 weeks in a row because the conference championships are the week after the end of the season.
Okay.
Yeah. Could you imagine that, having to play the same team 2 weeks straight?
Well, did we do that? We did that with Auburn, right? Remember?
No, we didn't do it. We didn't do it right
off. I thought
like
we did. Not right off. Maybe a weekend.
Auburn. Oh yeah, Auburn was like our week 11 game. Then we played Georgia Tech.
Okay.
And then we went to the SEC championship game. Right.
Yeah.
But this is their season ender is Oklahoma State, and then they might potentially have to play them for the Big 12 championship.
Understood.
Gotcha. We shall see what we shall see. We actually had a flip. We actually had the flip flop of Red River. Riley benched Caleb Williams for Spencer, and Spencer did what Spencer does. He was like 4 of what was he like 3 of 4 for 38 yards or something like that. He was very ineffective. He wound up getting benched again for Caleb Williams. So if there was any question on what's going to happen with Spencer Rattler at the end of the season, there you go. He came in, he couldn't get it done. Coach sat him back down, put Caleb back in. Right. Caleb tried to, spark a rally, but he couldn't make it happen. And then Kennedy Brooks. Here's the other factor. Kennedy Brooks had been rushing for at least at or just over 100 yards all season long. Baylor held him to 55 yards. They shut him all the way down.
Yeah.
And I'd been saying that he should be considered for Heisman candidate, 4 or 5 weeks ago. And, well, that is what that is now. That's just where we are with that. So we're going to move this thing on. Is the Caleb Williams fire out? That's my other question. You think their fire's out? You just think listen, Tom Brady's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time. We see what happened to him yesterday. So every good quarterback you can there's a litany of NFL legends that have had bad games. Favre, Marino, Plunkett, Staubach, Bradshaw, Warren Moon. I could just go on and on and on. And he had a bad game. So do you think that this is a humbling experience for him? Do you think he comes back stronger next week? Do you think it affects him? Because he's been getting nothing but pats on the back all week long. And now this loss has them looking at maybe not even being in the, even if they win the conference, not getting in the CFP. So how do you think he's going to carry that load this week?
I mean, that remains to be seen. I mean, that actually is what makes good quarterbacks, is to have that kind of adversity and see how they bounce back. So, I mean, this is obviously a tough loss for them, but at the same point, you'd like to think he comes back, with a kind of a chip on his shoulder, trying to, right the ship, even though there is, 2 games left. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just how you handle that kind of a load. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's where they are. They've got Iowa State next week, and then they will be followed by playing Bedlam. They'll be followed by Bedlam the week after. Whew. All right, moving on here. Texas, Kansas. Bruh. The 1-8 Kansas Jayhawks. Let me make sure let me lay the scenario for you, ladies and gentlemen. The 1-8 Kansas Jayhawks went to Austin, Texas. Now, was Texas an outstanding team? No. Was Texas favored in this game? Absolutely. They went to Austin and walked away with the overtime win. They were leading the game 35-14 at the half. I mean, even with OU's loss, they struggled against Kansas, but they never trailed. Not that I can remember. I have to go back and look at the stats. But they were losing by 3 touchdowns, 21 points at the half. It was just a horrible game. I mean, I'm just going to touch on some of these stats here. Casey Thompson, you know how we say the quarterback bears the lion's brunt of the blame when the team loses. You can't really put it on Casey Thompson. The boy balled out. He was 30 of 43, 358 yards.
And 6 touchdowns.
6 touchdowns. He did have a pickle, but he had no help on the ground. Bijan Robinson, no touchdowns and 70 yards. And then they had 2 lost fumbles and they had 2 interceptions. You know what I'm saying? They are now 4-8. They got West Virginia and Kansas State on deck. They might not get a bowl game, bro, the way they're playing. If they can't beat Kansas, they're not going to beat Kansas State. Kansas State is better than Kansas State, at least from what we see on paper. Right. If they can't beat Kansas, they might not beat West Virginia, and they might not beat K-State. That's just where they stand right now, dude.
Yeah, that was surprising. That was very surprising.
Now, as bad as all of that wasn't the worst of it. After the game, a member of the press asked Steve Sarkisian if the team had tuned him out. Now, any coach worth their salt would say, no, I don't think that's the case. I just think we've had a rough season. We started out great, had a lot of promise. I think the guys we're working really hard to keep the guys motivated to show up and play every week, blah, blah, blah. Listen to what this dummy said. He said, I don't know. You'd have to ask them that question.
Is that what he said? I missed that totally.
That is a direct quote. I don't know. You have to ask them that question. That's like if one of my children, if any of them was living here in the house anymore, if one of my children left the house and I knew they was going somewhere and I said, listen, go out, have a good time, stay safe, don't do nothing. And then one of them goes out and steals a car. And then and then somebody asked me, well, how do you feel like you're doing as a parent? Like, how do you feel about this situation? You say, I don't know. You got to ask him. That's my child. That's my child. I should have some thought on what I feel about the scenario with my own child.
Right.
This man, seriously, it's a quote. It's all over Twitter. Twitter was blowing up with it all day. Quote, wow. I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I think we need to make some Sarkisian t-shirts. That's going to be right along with the Bama does what Bama do t-shirt with your picture on it going. And hold holding a bottle of mustard in the other hand.
Yeah, but I was just looking at their schedule, man. And I mean that's kind of a telltale of the situation going on down there. I mean, like, their last win was who was it? It was
Whoever it
TCU.
was,
It was
yeah,
TCU, wasn't it?
right. The week before, Red River, they beat TCU. They
Yeah, and
have
that was
not won a game since.
they have not won a game since. Yeah, I was just looking at that. That is
This
unreal. I mean, that
this their
is.
first. It's their first
It
5
kind
game
of makes me
losing.
want to ask them. Kind of makes me want to ask them what are you feeling? I say,
How you feel? How you feel about it right now?
yeah, exactly. Your daddy, I'm sorry, your coach told me to ask you how you feeling. So
Now
it's,
they may have. Now here's a killer. This is their first 5 game losing streak since 1956.
that long, yeah, okay.
That long. I mean, that's absolutely crazy that they have gone that long without having a 5 game losing streak, losing 5 straight games, and they could potentially lose 7 straight. That would be an absolute travesty.
Yeah, that's very
Actually,
well possible though, because you're saying like
because
West Virginia, then K State. I mean, those are two. I mean, after what we've seen so far, that's that's definitely that's 2 losses that definitely could happen. Yeah, I mean that would be, man.
yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, man, like thinking about that, like who I feel worse for in all of this is Casey Thompson because
Yeah,
he's an Oklahoma kid. He's from here in the neck of the woods where I live. He was courted by Oklahoma State. Not
okay.
Oklahoma State. He was courted by OU to come and play at OU. They tried to recruit him to come and play for OU, and he said, "Nope, I'm going to go to Texas." His dad was an Oklahoma guy. So they were trying to get him to come to Oklahoma, and he said, "Nope, I'm going to go play for Texas. I feel like that's the best place for me to go and be successful." And we see where that has gotten him. To those of you that are watching right now, to my Oklahoma family, those of you that are Sooners fans, I'm sorry. To those of you that are Texas fans, I'm very sorry. I don't mean to rain on your parade, but that's where we stand right now with what is going on with the Big 12 teams that are looking to join the SEC.
That's kind of where I was going. I was like, all right, this is well, they got one more year, right? I mean, they still have the option to kind of back out, don't they? And then what you told me that they can.
No, they don't have the option to back out. It's a done deal. It's just that they have the option to pay the money right now and go and make the jump next
Make
season.
jump early. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, they can make the jump early. The
I don't
deal
think
is
they
good
want
through the deal is good through 2025. So they may stay in the Big 12 till 2025. They may make the jump now. Who knows? The way things
Yeah.
are going right now, who really knows? Those of you that are watching right now, I see some names here popped up. My coworker Jose and Lisa and things like that. Thank you guys for joining us tonight on This Week in SEC Football. This is brought to you by. Let me get the thing going. There we go. Brought to you by DJG Enterprises and Greek Gans. They will make custom tumblers for you, beautiful custom tumblers and Afghans. They do not have to be Greek letter organization involved. You can get your favorite team colors and a logo or whatever you want on it. They'll hook you right on up. And so thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to DJG Enterprises and Greek Gans for being our show sponsor. Oh, man, Collin.
Yes, sir.
What is going on?
I think I know where you're going.
I know. I got a little sidetracked. I'm gonna come back to that.
Right.
We need to talk about Texas A&M and Ole Miss. Texas A&M comes in at 7-3. Comes in at 7-2 and 4-2 in the conference. Ole Miss at 8-2 and 4-2. Ole Miss put a whipping on them.
They did.
Ole Miss put a whipping on them. They beat them. They beat Texas A&M at their own game. Their forte, the Aggies' forte all season has been defense.
Right.
It was their defense that helped them beat Bama. It was their defense that helped them whip up on everybody that they basically played after Bama. They just went on a tear after they beat Bama. They went on an absolute tear. Ole Miss shut that down. They outgained Texas A&M with 4 minutes left in the game. They had outgained Texas A&M 368 yards to 78.
Wow.
At the end of the game, it was. Oh, I'm sorry. This was the first half. My bad. Okay, the first half, 408 yards to 91 is what they outgained
The first half.
Texas. The first half. The
Wow.
score was only 15-0. So that just tells me that defense is just like, nope, sit down. Nope, sit down. Okay, we're going to grind. I mean, they just basically A&M can score a bunch of points on you, and you know Ole Miss can too. So what Ole Miss did was they slowed it down, they grounded out, they ran the clock out, and they were able to just wear them out, man. Calzada was completely ineffective. He wound up throwing 2 interceptions. That remember, he's the backup quarterback that came in and just went on the tear. The Ole Miss defense held Spiller to 41 yards and no TDs. They had 2 picks. AJ Finley had a 52-yard pick. Said, "Can I get a pick six?" And then they held Devin. I want to pronounce his name properly. I hope it's A. Shane. He was the bright spot for A&M. 118 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns, but all of that was in the second half. And at that point, it was too little, too late. The damage was done. So Texas A&M is not eliminated, but they're really close. And right now, they need conference losses from Ole Miss and Mississippi State, which I don't see happening from both teams. That's what they need in order to win the West. They've got to win out, and Ole Miss and Mississippi State each have to lose 1 each. Okay, that's where we are with them. Moving on. Talking about Ole Miss. Ole Miss has left on their schedule, just for frame of reference, 2-8 Vandy and 6-4 Mississippi State. Okay.
Yeah.
A&M has got Prairie View A&M University and LSU. I think they have the easier route. A&M is already bowl eligible. Ole Miss is already also bowl eligible, but they'll probably get a New Year's bowl. They might not get a New Year's Six. We have to wait and see. But that's where we are with that. Speaking of Mississippi State is what I meant. Mississippi State goes into Auburn, and you and I were texting each other over this one. Auburn jumped out. They had an 18-point lead at halftime. They blew a double-digit lead. They got outscored 33-6 in the second half.
Yep.
I mean, what can you do? And again, which Bo Nix are we going to see? We got to see both. We got to see both of them in the same game. Now, we found out a little bit later on that Bo Nix did fracture his ankle in the third quarter. So he spent the entire second half playing on a broken ankle. And he still balled out 27 of 41 for 377 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty impressive for a kid with a broken ankle. Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby actually showed up and scored a couple touchdowns himself, but he only had 43 yards the entire game. Will Rogers just lit up the scoreboard. 44-55 for 415 yards and 6 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns. And matter of fact, he wasn't the only one threw for 6 touchdowns, didn't you, boy? Casey Thompson threw for 6 touchdowns also. Between the two of them, they threw for 12 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean that was wasn't that one? Weren't they? How many unanswered points did Mista score? I mean, remember what we kind of both I was texting about 28-3. We don't want to see that 28-3. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's not what we want to see. But I mean, I think it was after that, like 28-3. I don't think they scored another time. I mean, I don't think it was
2 field goals.
2 field goals is what was they scored at 6 points, but they had, what was it, 28 unanswered or something to that.
Yeah, they were up 28-3, and then they wound up only being able to muster 2 more field goals in the second half. That was it.
Gotcha. Because then it was 30. Yeah, it was 31 or 30-28 or something 29, something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was amazing to watch.
Yeah. So then we got, like I said, he's out for the season. Nix is, and he had a 34-game starting streak, which will be broken. Coach Harskin has not announced who will start next week in their game against South Carolina, but he did already go ahead and make the announcement that TJ will be starting in the Iron Bowl. So that'll be interesting to see. I want to see how that goes because TJ Finley can ball out. He did show us against Georgia State. I mean, he basically engineered that comeback.
Yep.
So we'll see. Their place kicker also injured his ACL. He's out. He missed 2 field goals, but he's out for the rest of the season with an injured ACL. So they're down a starting quarterback and a starting place kicker. So it's going to be interesting to see. They're really TJ's going to really have to light up the board. Auburn's got South Carolina and Bama left on the schedule.
Yeah.
South Carolina should be a win, but which South Carolina's going to show up this Saturday?
Yeah. Well, that's true.
And then, the guys are going to be up for Bama no matter what, no matter who's starting. They're going to be hyped. So I'm anticipating at least a good first 20 minutes worth of beat each other in the head before they settle in, and then we see what happens. On the flip side of that coin, Mississippi State has Tennessee State and Ole Miss. Remember, I did say that A&M needs losses from Ole Miss and Mississippi State. The only loss I see Mississippi State getting is a win against Ole Miss. And Ole Miss, I don't see losing to Vanderbilt. So basically, I don't want to say A&M is eliminated, but we can go ahead. They need some help is what they need. They're going to need some help from Ole Miss. Otherwise, they're going to be on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. How about this? How about Florida? How about them Gators?
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. I mean, it was funny because I think it's funny. I was talking to my parents, and actually, I was talking to my mom, and I was like, she asked me, "Said who's Florida?" And I called my dad to tell him what the score was and everything, and she overheard. She's like, "We play Stanford, like California." I said, "No, Mom, not Stanford." I said Samford, S-A-M-Ford, from where's that? That's Alabama, right? And then
they're a Christian school.
Yeah, because it's small Christian school in Alabama. And she's like, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah."
I learned that today by watching the Matt Mitchell's short. Said the Baptist school, the small Baptist school.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that was.
How about them Gators, dude? They listen. Florida, I don't know what's going on with their defense. Their defense just rolled over. Sanford's quarterback, Liam Welch, had 400 yards passing. They let that boy have a career day in a loss. Listen, anytime you score 52 points, you should be winning. So the fact that Florida's offense was able to find another gear somewhere and do something, kudos to you. But there's no way on God's green earth that you should have let that small Christian school from Alabama score. Let that quarterback throw they had 416 yards total to back up through for another 16. But and this is how they scored. They had three rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, and 1 scooping score on defense. And they literally, if Florida hadn't woke up in the second half, I don't know what Dan Mullen said, what he did in the locker room, but it kicked them in the rear. Emory Jones had a good day too. He was 28 of 34 for 464. Oh my God, he threw for 6 touchdowns. We had 3 quarterbacks throw for 6 touchdowns on Saturday.
And 100 total points, right? It was what was it? They hung 52 on Florida, and what was it, 60 something to 50 something, right? What was the final score on that?
52 to 70.
7. There you go.
No defense whatsoever. But seriously,
man. I mean, it was just like maybe they should start everybody on the 40-yard line and just let them run.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell you. Mullen should consider himself fortunate that the boys managed to pull it out, because I guarantee you they would have deactivated his key card if they had lost to Sanford.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of makes you wonder if that's what he did. If he went in and said, "Look, guys, you're not doing me good here. If you lose this, I'm out of a job." You know what I'm saying?
It's like, did you see School Days?
No, it's been a while.
Yeah. When coach is giving the homecoming speech and he says, "Do you want to go out there and lose to those guys?" And the guys are going, "Hell no." "Do you want to embarrass yourself in front of your families and friends?" "Hell no." "Do you want me to lose my job?" That was Dan Mullen's speech.
That makes a lot of sense.
Dan Mullen gave the School Day speech in the locker room.
I can't get over that though.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh. But hey.
Golly, bro.
Who do they have left? They got FSU left.
Florida's got Missouri and FSU left.
Oh
They
man,
still
I'm anxious to see what happens there because I mean, if they do that,
have a shot at getting a bowl game.
if they do that,
We have locked up the East. We locked the East up 3 weeks ago, but they can still
yeah,
get a bowl game. Um, but yeah, that's basically what I got with that. I don't know. This has been a very disappointing season for Florida. It started with a lot of promise. I mean, just the fact that they were able to go toe to toe with Bama and run it down to the wire
yeah,
speaks volumes about the season that they were going to have. I forgot to run my little caption when I was talking about Texas. Texas drops to Kansas. Where they do that at? Okay, I'm gonna come back to that. So yeah, it's been a very disappointing season for the Florida faithful and for the Gators. I can't say as a Georgia fan that I feel a rash of
no,
sympathy for them,
no,
but I mean, I understand. I as a Georgia fan, you and I have been there. Where it's like, man, we got all these guys coming back. We should be able to make a little run, and then 3 weeks in, you're like, yeah, no, this is not happening.
mm.
So that's where they are right now. But a couple of other games left in the mix. New Mexico State versus Bama. They I think they covered. I think they covered the over under because it was 59-3. What was the over under?
I don't know which one. Hold on
I,
a second.
I think Bama was laying 50 points, and I think the over under was somewhere like 60 something. So it was 62 total points scored. Not
Right.
a whole lot to be said. Like I said, New Mexico State. I hope you guys took the long route there and got to stop and check out everything on your way there. Because I told you when you get
Bama does what Bama do.
as is going to happen to be used strictly only for the purposes of Collin and the Let's Talk and the
Right.
This Week in SEC Football show. Man, oh man, that's just crazy. Bama has left on their schedule Arkansas and Auburn. I still say Auburn can maybe. Well, I don't know. With Bo Nix out, we'll see because I haven't seen TJ Finley really play against anybody.
Yeah, that's going to be a different look because I mean, and you know what figures out how much of a picture has it changed since that conversation you and I and Sean had about Auburn if they were going to be the ones to give Alabama a shot, which I think they will just because it's the Iron Bowl. I mean, this is a far cry from the team that we talked about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, 3-4 weeks ago it was a lock that they were going to come out and punch Bama in the mouth, and they were going to knock each other around for a while before everybody settled in. Right now, Bama could do them worse than they did New Mexico State.
Yeah,
potentially.
To no fault of Auburn's own. I mean, but with Bo Nix being out, now you have to. You don't know what you're going to see. You know what I mean? You're not gonna.
Nope, not at all.
You really don't know what's going to come up.
Not at all. Keeping this thing moving, we got South Carolina and Missouri. Mizzou pulled out the win 31-28. Not a whole lot to be said there. Neither one of these teams are in contention for the conference championship. South Carolina only needs one more game, I think, to become bowl eligible. I think Missouri just became bowl eligible with that win. So yep, there was that game. You had Kentucky at Vandy. Kentucky did exactly what we thought they were going to do. They went and beat Vandy up 34-17. Kentucky is bowl eligible. Arkansas beat LSU at home 16-13. Arkansas wins on a walk-off overtime field goal. For the first time in a long time, Arkansas is bowl eligible, so they will see some postseason action from, as Jermaine Funnyman Johnson likes to call them, the bacon bits. I'm just gonna call. I'm gonna call this, man. I don't see LSU getting a bowl game.
No, I'm with you on there. I'm with you there. Nope.
I don't. Max Johnson has been too inconsistent. Coach O has decided to do this quarterback competition. He let the backup Max Riddengewer play most of the game. They're 4-6 right now, and they have Louisiana Monroe and Texas A&M on deck. Now, I guarantee you, Texas A&M is going to knock them upside the head.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see them doing it. They were 4-3 at the time that they beat Florida. That was on October 16th. That was on Saturday. On Sunday, the announcement was made on the 17th that Coach O was parting ways with the team at the end of the season.
Right.
They have won one game since then. One. So they have one game to win to become bowl eligible. And the way they're playing, they might not beat Louisiana Monroe. So I don't think they're going to get a bowl game the way they're doing. I know this much. The squad is definitely done. They've checked all the way out on Coach O.
Right. And I mean, like I said, you're absolutely right. They may end up, or luckily, winning one of the last two games. But A&M's going to beat them like a drum. I mean, I do believe after this weekend, I think they're going to just tear them up. And like you said, La Monroe could easily beat them as well. But,
absolutely.
Yeah, they're not getting a bowl. I agree with you.
No, that's not happening. So dig this. Here's irony. Jimbo Fisher is on their short list. They announced their short list. Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M is on LSU short list of coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I love that this year these coaches have been coming back with the clapback for these dumb questions.
Right.
Somebody asked him how he felt about being on their short list, and he said, I would have to. He basically said I would have to be the dumbest human being on God's earth to put all of this time and energy to recruiting one of the greatest classes that we have gotten at Texas A&M in a very long time, and then say, nope, I'm going to go over here and play with these guys against you guys. He said, I would have to be the dumbest human being.
Now that's what you would expect from Sarkisian. That's what you would expect a coach to say, not what Sarkisian said. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I
don't know how much truth to this it is, but I did hear Dabo's Sweeney's name thrown in that hat somewhere.
Yeah, he's supposedly on the short list too, but we shall see. We shall see. We'll see what comes up. I mean, they're probably gonna, there was a whole bunch of speculation because Lincoln Riley wasn't at his press conference. He normally does a press conference broadcast live on the franchise sports radio here on Wednesday nights, and he wasn't available. He had his assistant handle it. So the question was, well, does he have COVID? Does he have COVID? Is he sick? Is something happened? And so then the speculation was like, well, hey, LSU's looking for a coach. Norman has its own airfield. He could have jumped a private jet from Norman and flown out to go to LSU and interview for the job and come back. There's going to be speculation. We won't know until the rubber meets the road. Honestly, we won't know till the end of the season and after the postseason as to what's going on. Now, I will say this. If he did sneak down to Baton Rouge and interview for the job and they tender him an offer and Oklahoma does not make the playoffs, I guarantee you he will not hesitate. He'd be like, hey, guys, been real, but I got an announcement. I'm going over to Baton Rouge. Yeah. So that's where we are with that, man. Honestly, that's where we are with that. So I was talking about the West earlier. It's basically been whittled down to Bama and Ole Miss because the last team in the hunt is Mississippi State. And what Mississippi State needs is they need Ole Miss to lose, but they also have a head-to-head coming up. Or did they just play? They just played. No, they just played Texas A&M. They still got a head-to-head coming up. So I think it's the Egg Bowl is what they call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Egg Bowl is coming up at the end of the season. So they got to beat Ole Miss. So they have the head-to-head, and they still need Bama to lose. And Bama's not losing there. Well, Bama, we'll see. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and stop saying, well, maybe Iron Bowl, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that the Crimson Tide are in any danger of losing to Auburn.
No, I don't either. I really don't. I think they're pretty much – I think that's who we're going to play. I think it's a lock, in my opinion. That's going to be us and them again, which I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest with you. We're not going to get the fact of the matter is we need to beat them. We have to beat them. We're not going to get any kind of recognition whatsoever, until that happens.
And then we still won't, because then if we beat them, it'd be like, well, their defense wasn't as strong as they used to be, and the quarterback wasn't the strongest. And you guys beat Alabama by 52 points, but Stetson only threw for 2 touchdowns, and Zeus ran for 78. There's going to be something. And it's not. And the bad thing about it is, for the most part, except for maybe Gary Danielson, but that's a different story. For the most part, all of the sportscasters are like, Georgia is the unanimous number 1 team in the country. Their defense is blah, blah, blah. Stetson Bennett, he's a stud in the pocket. He's a dude. How about your boy, the mailman, delivering that mail on a
Yes, sir.
dime. That dime he dropped to James Cook. All right, look,
That
Cook
was
running. All I saw was kneecaps
breadbasket.
and elbows.
Yep.
Bow. He just looked up like that and it dropped right in there.
Yep.
Y'all can keep saying
Breadbasket
that.
didn't even stop it.
I'm just gonna say this, okay? It's already been established that Daniels is fragile. Period.
Of course.
He hasn't played since week 1 or week 2. He's gonna be rusty. He's getting reps, but he's not getting any game time. He'll get some game time next week if everybody gets if the score gets run up, he'll get some game time. If the score gets run up on Georgia Tech, he'll get some game time. But as stands right now, Stetson Bennett is the starting quarterback. And
how do you take the ball from him? I mean, like, look what he's done. I mean, like, really. I mean, it doesn't. But who we played? I mean, you can have that conversation. But at the same point,
but who had they played? But who had they played? They haven't played anybody. I could throw my son's 3rd grade little league team could throw 8 touchdowns on Vanderbilt. Yeah. I could come throw 8 touchdowns on Vanderbilt. Oh my God, they haven't played anybody. That's just so horrible. He runs like an ostrich. Shut up. We're winning. We are winning.
Even to what last thing you just said, though. I mean, like, he is running. The boy has wheels. He's fast. You know, he can make a play out of nothing. You know what I'm saying? And but even he might not have an arm to throw along the long ball, or maybe the
but you still got the armchair quarterbacks at home going.
You're not gonna get rid of them.
This here. Look at this here. He had 2 guys open in the middle of the field, and he could have thrown it to them, and he chose to run. Well, guess what? You got a split second to make that decision whether to run. Sometimes that split second is the difference between making the play and getting sacked.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes,
I posted on a Georgia football. It was like Georgia football Facebook group that I'm a part of, and
I'm probably in the same group.
Yeah, I mean, when he scored that touchdown himself, ran it in from the 30. You know, you had somebody come up in. Yeah, but how many receivers did he miss? How many receivers did he miss that he could have thrown at? I said, dude, he just scored 6 points, and you're going to do that?
Right. That's what they're doing.
I mean, you just
now here's the thing. That split second is the difference between a sack and positive yardage. That split second is the difference between, even if he's got a clean pocket, that split second could be the difference between I can make the first down from here, or I can throw that pass, and that DB that's been hanging in the cut has a perfect cut on the ball, and now you're looking at a pick six. Like, you seriously, that's.
I mean, it's a no-win situation.
Hey, David, thank you for joining, sir. To my folks that are joining the podcast, thank you for joining this week in SEC football. This week's Georgia week review is brought to you, ladies and gentlemen, courtesy of our good friends at 1906tees.com. They make custom t-shirts. I'm in the process of getting some stuff together now so that I can get some stuff out so I can get myself some custom gear. We might pool our resources. I think we need to pool our resources and get ourselves some custom this week in SEC football gear. Maybe some long sleeve gear since it's getting ready to get cold, and then we get some short sleeve stuff when things cool back off. But definitely go over there and see those guys at 1906tees.com. They can make you just about anything you want as long as what you want is not copywritten, because they don't mess around with the trademark stuff. So thank you, 1906tees.com, for being a weekly segment sponsor of This Week in SEC Football. Appreciate you greatly. But yeah, so back to this whole discussion about Stetson versus JT. JT is stiff and JT is fragile. Does the boy have a big arm? He absolutely does.
Oh, yeah.
He absolutely does. But we know that with these teams gunning for Georgia, the teams that we've had gunning for Georgia, we probably played the last team that's really going to present a huge challenge this regular season. Mm-hmm. So now is the time to get JT some game reps and let him warm up and let him get it back in his rhythm and do some things like that. I would not be surprised to see JT play the entire second half this coming Saturday. And by the way, I hope you have a subscription, because it's only on the pluses. It's on the Plus networks. It's on ESPN Plus and SEC Network Plus, which sucks because, you know, as a Georgia fan, you want to watch every game, but I get it.
Yeah,
Georgia, it's like people are like, okay, Georgia, you've already wrapped everything up. You don't have any more marquee games. You can step out of the spotlight for a minute.
Yeah, limelight. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Going back to the quarterback conversation. I mean, it's not. In my. I mean, in my situation, it's not who's better. It's like, I mean, the fact is you don't take him out right now. What he's been doing, there's no debate on my side that is JT may be the better quarterback. The bigger arm, absolutely. But I mean, who's got the bigger? I mean, the faster wheels and who's got the quicker, the speed and that kind of. Yeah, that would be mailman all day. But if,
All
I mean,
day, baby. I love
you
it.
could put them together and have a super quarterback, but you can't. You got to have one or the other. So
yeah, I love that meme you sent me of him riding around in the postal service.
In the mail
talking
truck.
about, yep, I'm just riding around delivering these L's. But here's the kicker. So let's say they put in JT and JT throws for 500 yards next week and 600 yards the next week. And then he winds up playing in the SEC championship game and he loses. Then everybody say, well, if you played him 3 weeks ago when he was healthy, he would have hit enough game reps. So you don't know every given Saturday you have the opportunity to lose. If you keep, for all of you folks that are out there, and I'm not saying you don't have a right to have an opinion, but you got to respect mine too. You got to respect Collins too. If
absolutely.
You look back every week this season, since the season started, the first weekend in September, there has been some team somewhere who was not supposed to lose to whatever team it was they played, and there's nothing you can do about that. Oklahoma wasn't supposed to lose to Baylor last week. Who was it that lost to Purdue the week before? Was it a couple weeks ago? Purdue was beat
it was
Iowa. They beat Iowa a couple weeks ago, and Iowa was a top 4 team. Matter of fact, Purdue has been the bunker buster this year. They finally got the streak broken against the Buckeyes, but still,
they beat them.
Yeah, but I mean, there's been somebody that has lost a game every week this year that they should not have lost, and you can't sit there and say, well, it's the coach's fault. And well, in some cases, you might be able to say that depending on what's going on. But you got a coach at a great program. These guys are getting paid 9 figures a year. 9 with an and an I in the middle and an on the end. I'm just saying 9 figures, one more than 8. 8 plus, what is it? 6 plus 2 is 8. Plus 1, that's 9. Quick math. That's, you know what I'm saying? 9. That's a 1 with a lot of zero behind it. With 6 zeros behind it. Boo boo. Think about that. That's 9 figures a year. If I was making 9 figures a year, if somebody's paying you 9 figures a year, you damn well better know what you're talking about. Every coach out there does not. But we're talking about a coach who is taking a program over from a coach who is viewed as a legend, another living legend at the University of Georgia. He has taken over a program from a legendary coach and played. No, he didn't play
for him. Yeah,
he played for. Did he play for Rick?
No.
He didn't play for. He didn't play for Rick. He played for whoever it was before Coach Rick came along.
Oh man,
God, I feel like such a bad.
I know it is. We talk about it.
I know their names and we call them every week.
Was it Donnan? Was it Donnan?
No, Donnan took over right after Dooley retired. It was the coach after him.
One in between that.
Yeah. But at any rate, this is a guy who played ball for this program. This is a guy who coached under one of the greatest coaches to ever step foot on the college gridiron in Nick Saban. And yes, I'm saying that even as a Georgia fan. Game recognized game. This is a guy who has taken a program over from a coach that was bringing us an average of 10 wins a year and is now taking us to how many SEC championships now? 2?
We've been 2 so far.
2 SEC championships, about to be 3. 3 SEC championships in 4 years and a national championship, potentially another one this year. The man knows what he's doing. Just because he's not doing it the way you like it doesn't mean he's wrong. Yeah, are you entitled to your opinion? Would you like to see JT Daniels play? Absolutely. If that's it, you just want to see what JT can do, fine. But me personally, I don't care if we got a quarterback that throws for 600 yards in a win, or if he throws for $125 in a win. All I'm concerned about. If we win a national title by 1 point with a walk-off field goal at the end of the game, and neither team has scored over 20 points, we still win a national championship.
Right.
And I'm going to be happy as hell.
Yeah.
And if you want to sit at home and be Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say there was another comment. I don't know if you saw it or not, but it was somebody actually compared the mailman to Stroud for a quarterback, the freshman for Ohio State. I said, there's no comparison to that. I said, why are you comparing him to that? And the reason they were comparing is because of the stats. I was like, I said I would take I'd take a win over stats all day long. I don't care what. He could have 100 yards. He could have no touchdowns, whatever. If he's making plays, I don't care. W is the only thing that matters to me.
If Trent Dilfer can win a Super Bowl as a mediocre quarterback, and trust me, Stetson is a way better quarterback than Trent Dilfer. No offense, Mr. Dilfer. I watched you play. That defense carried you to that Lombardi. Enjoy the Lombardi in the ring. You're welcome. I'm not trying to say anything. I don't have a problem winning with an average quarterback. And if Georgia wins a national championship, which I hope they do, I would love to see one. I'd love to see another one in my lifetime. I've gotten 2 Braves World Series. I just need another Dogs. I need another Dogs national championship.
Yeah.
And 1 Falcons Super Bowl. And then I'm satisfied. I've seen the Spurs win God only knows how many Larry O'Brien trophies.
Right.
So I'm good. I'm good there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't care. If you want to sit at home and be mad because he didn't play my guy and I wanted to see my guy play, you can sit at home and sulk. I will go to the parade. If you're not going, give me your tickets.
Right, exactly. I'm with you.
Yeah.
100%.
That's where we are with that. So that brings us to Georgia versus Tennessee. Oh, we're talking about that. I'm sorry. I got so caught up in the emotion that I forgot. I mean, stats. I mean, he was 17 to 29 for 213, a touchdown and a rushing TD. But you see what the score was.
Right.
That defense is phenomenal. Now, I will say this. I think it is time for us to stop pressing on the defense and the team scoring. Because at this point we need everybody healthy. And wait a minute. And they beat them. They beat the hell out of them with half the guys having the flu.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know that till later on. I had no idea about that.
Yep. There's my boy Chris Bellardine. Hello, old friend. Good to see you. Thank you for dropping through this week in SEC football. Yeah, half the guys on the squad had the flu and they still mollywopped them. It took them a whole 3 more quarters to score a touchdown.
We took a couple of injuries, right? I mean, I think most of them are actually not
just cramps. Nothing. Nothing seasoning, and just a bunch of guys out there playing with cramps.
Okay.
For the love of the game. But the game ball stats did his thing, but game ball goes to James Cook. 10 receptions, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 1 receiving touchdown. Trayvon Walker had a fumble recovery. Which we took down the field for a touchdown. They sacked Hendon Hooker 6 times.
Yeah.
And how about you, boy? Remember a couple weeks ago when Keely Ringo got pulled to the sideline and got chewed out by coach?
Yeah. Yep.
Did you see that? Did you see that play he made in the end zone? It was a very smart play. He got a pass interference call. A lot of people are going, "That's a dumb play to get as a pass interference call." Listen, here's the difference in the pro football. If you commit a pass interference penalty in the end zone, it brings the ball down to the 1 yard line. In college football, it is only a 15-yard penalty because he would have caught that. That would have been a flat out and out touchdown. So what he did was they moved the ball up another 15 yards, and Tennessee was not able to generate anything after that. So that turned out to be a very, very smart play on his part. I'll take this flag in the 15 yards and we'll shut them down from here versus letting them score. So it was all, and Hendon Hooker didn't have a bad game either. He was kind of middle of the road, 24 for 37, 244. He had a touchdown and a pick, but they got held to 55 yards rushing. And somebody always listen. When you're at the top, when you on the top or you're at the top of the heap, somebody always finds a moral victory to take away. And Tennessee was able to take away that they scored 2 touchdowns on us this season. I'm not trying to knock them, but that's their takeaway. It's just like Florida was crowing all week about we almost beat Alabama. So And I'm not gonna lie, like I told you, I was Pucker Factor 54. They marched right down the street, they're right
Yeah.
down the field.
Well, I was
and
going to
scored
say
that
that.
touchdown.
I was going to say, like I was telling you when we were talking about, the first when they went down so fast and scored, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be one of them games. And then we did the same thing. And then after that, we finally, we talked about it. Usually takes about a little bit of half of a quarter, maybe a quarter to get kind of comfortable defense settled in. And once we do, though, it's pretty much, business as usual, as they like to say.
Yeah. For those of you that happen to be watching this, whether you're watching us live or watching the replay, I lost a bet with the missus. My Falcons lost to the Cowboys yesterday, so I had to wear this to do the live. I forgot. I got to cue up the Mariah Carey music soon. God. Love you, honey. So yeah, I mean, I think that what the guys need to do now, they need to come out. They need to play a hard quarter and a half for football. Get a good, nice lead going. If they see that they can hold them off, let some of these second and third string guys get some game reps, get out there and get a chance to play. Do what you can. Don't let the game get away from you. Let the first stringers heal up. Coach, this is the one thing I will give you. Please tell these boys to stop practicing so hard in practice.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need anybody else hurt.
No more
We've
broken
been
bones.
fortunate. We don't need any more broken bones or torn ligaments or twisted sacks or busted thumbs or nothing. We don't need no paper cuts or nothing. We want
No paper cut.
we want the whole roster as healthy as we can get them for the SEC championship game and potentially for the national for the college football playoff and for the national championship. We got 3 games.
For God's sakes, give JT some reps. Give JT some reps for everybody to be happy and smile, and everybody be happy on the Georgia football fan. Some people may be on that bandwagon, but anyway, for the real deal fans, let's plot everybody down. Let's all root for the same team, right?
Right. Yeah. From this point going forward, seriously, because we've got 3 games left. Potentially after the regular season is done, and in no reason in beating these guys to the point where they can't perform. So that's been your University of Georgia spotlight for this week. God, man, we blew through this pretty quick. We
did actually. I was looking at the clock. I was like, "Damn, we've been on the computer for that long."
Yeah, well, I mean, we're normally just getting around to talking about Georgia at about the hour and a half mark. So keeping it short and sweet. It's okay to be short and sweet every now and again. My God, you know what? The only disappointment I have is that we didn't get to see anyone. Not one person had the nuts to get these. None. We didn't have any.
Wasn't it funny? Wasn't it funny? It was completely 180. It was a complete 180 for the way they treated us. Well, I mean, that maybe could be because the stadium was pretty much empty by the time the game was over. But
oh my God, yeah.
I mean, they fouled out real fast. But at the same point, it was a different. I mean, I was reading things here and there, but it was a total different. And Lane Kiffin actually picked Tennessee to beat us. You saw that? I was like, after they treated you like that, throwing stuff at you. You actually picked Tennessee on the game day.
All he has to go on is he studied game film of Tennessee before he played them, and then they played them, and he hasn't probably been following them since because he's been prepping for games since then. So all he has to go off of is how they played against Ole Miss, and they did. They played a hell of a game against Ole Miss. If it weren't for that one call, Ole Miss would maybe have 2 losses. So I mean, I respect. I don't take it as a diss. I take it, it's like he's trying to show Tennessee a little respect. It's like, he's
got love for Tennessee, but that brings it back to them. I mean, they still he's got love for Tennessee, but I mean, they throw stuff at him. Condiments.
Well, what are you gonna do about that, man? I mean, what can you do? There's nothing you can really do about that. You just can. You could take the high road and go, hey, they're highly competitive and their fans are very passionate, or you could be the coach. You could be the coach that goes, oh my God, I can't believe they called a timeout so they could kick a field goal even though they were already winning and all their fans just stormed the field. I don't know who did that, but
hey, yeah.
It happened somewhere around here, but I don't know who did that. No, actually, that did happen. That did happen. Baylor called a timeout, and when they called the timeout, I guess the fans thought the game was over. So they started rushing the field, even though the game wasn't over. So Baylor was like, well, we're going to kick a field goal. And like Lincoln Riley had to bring his players back out. He just needed 11 guys to go back on. He sent 11 guys out there so they could kick a field goal. And he was salty about that.
Okay. All right.
I mean, man, come on. Your team was losing. You were going to lose whether they kicked that field goal or not.
Or not, yeah.
Like all the problems your team had that day, the thing that you choose to harp on is the field goal. And I'm not knocking. I'm not a coach. I say it all the time. I don't get paid to coach. I don't get paid to coach. I don't have an NIL to play. I'm not on the assistant coaching staff. I'm not on the scout team.
Right.
But there's the optics from where I'm sitting, you know. Of course, who knows what he's going through? He's probably catching a rash of hell for the whole scenario with Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams and them losing that one game and all of that good stuff. I mean, dude, and you know who came out the biggest in all of this? You know who came out the biggest in all of this?
Is that
with this whole Spencer Rattler deal and all of that? Tanner Mordecai. Tanner Mordecai was the backup at OU. It was down to between him and Rattler last year when Rattler came on campus.
Okay.
Rattler won the starting job. He said he would still be the backup. Well, then come to find out that this hotshot kid named Caleb Williams is coming in. Tanner enters the portal and goes to Southern Methodist University. And currently, SMU is 8-2 overall in the American Athletic Conference. So they still, I mean, they're not going to beat Cincinnati and they're not going to beat Houston, but they still have a shot at getting themselves a good bowl game, you know?
Yeah.
And Tanner Mordecai is he has been pretty much instrumental in the resurgence of that program. I mean, not instrumental, but you know, the quarterback gets the lion's share of the congratulations. So he may land himself a decent draft pick if he decides to declare. Yeah. He may land himself a decent draft pick somewhere. He might go late first. Well, I won't say late first round. He might go mid-second round and find himself making a 53-man roster somewhere. That's for sure. Yeah. Oh, we got some folks in the chat. Let's see. Sam Dotson. Hey guys, what do you think of the young Chinese? Sam Dotson. No. I'll share it with you off the air. You almost got me. You almost got me. No, Sam Dotson. Bad Sam. Very, very bad Sam. Oh, man. Anyway, on that note, that was a good one. I got to copy this. And send it to you in the Facebook Messenger, man. That was pretty good. Oh, I wish I could share it with you, but then I don't want nothing to get pulled. I'll share this with. Oh, you're in the private chat, right? You have access to the private chat?
I don't have access to that. I don't think. Oh, there it is. Hold on. There's a show chat. Hang on. What happened to it?
If you do show chat and then click private instead of stream, that's where you and I can text between each other.
No, I got it. I just read
it. You see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Hey, look. Hey, Sam Dobson, I'm going to at least give you a slow golf clap because you almost got me. I was like, what do you think of this guy? You know, I'm like, what do you think? Oh, hey, no.
I'm glad you caught. I am so glad you caught that and didn't say it.
Oh, man. Wow. It's a good thing. Hey, look, it's a good thing I got the YouTube set to I have to approve the comments for them to be shown on the stream. Because that would have been, hey, your account has been disabled, sir. Anyway, I think on that note, that's the perfect note to close out. Oh man, my God. You guys are absolutely crazy. I appreciate you all. I know Sam is somewhere laughing because he's like, I at least got him to laugh at it. I appreciate you guys for tuning in today. All of you that tuned in. On behalf of myself, the homie Collin P, and the man, the myth, the shout out king. Shouts out to our boy Sean Spencer. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. We'll be back on Thursday. We'll have the preview for this weekend's upcoming action. Be good to yourselves. Have a great week. Me and Collin are out of here. We'll catch you on Thursday. Holla.
Hey, doggy.
Bruh.
Oh, I'm so glad you caught that.
I almost read it out loud. I swear to God I did.
You said